Hi, it's Elaine from Penguin Place Crafts. It's Wednesday, dinner time. Dinner's in the oven. So I've got like 20 minutes before I need to go out and set the table and take stuff out of the oven and all that. Today's been one of those days where I sort of came up with a list in the morning of I really should do this, 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 and this. But I don't feel like it. I should work on that box. Getting stuff listed on Etsy, getting price tags put on, getting it sorted and put away. Nope. I felt like just sitting in my chair and playing with yarn. So I did. And everything that I made used up yarn either from the top shelf of my craft cart, which I am trying to clear in the month of May, or from the yarn that Lori sent me. So let's see, what came first? The chicken or the egg? There's no chickens in here. There's no eggs, so I can't tell which came first. Okay, Lori had sent me, I'll put the picture of her yarn up here and see if I can circle it. There was a little cardboard, short cardboard tube, wide but short, with a ribbon yarn wrapped around it. Okay. I think when I did the video where I opened up that package, I was like, ooh, hedgehog. Well, there's how it looks as a hedgehog. It's got some sparkle to it. And I did do the bobble feet. It's sort of hard to see. It's washing out. But that turned out nicely. I like Mr. Hedgehog. Although when I put him down, when I set him down on the ground, it looked like he was tipping sort of to the side. Maybe if I pulled out the bobbles on the right side, that would... Okay, that helped. Okay, well then I still had some of that left. So I figured, let's take my new book, my No-Sew Mini Amigurumi, and there's a snake in there. Is the snake on? Yeah. There's the little green snake coming out the front cover here. Let's just do a simple little snake and combine some yarns. So I combined the pink ribbon yarn from Lori and I think 2 strands of the lace weight purple yarn that I'm trying to finish off, and a strand of white sport weight yarn. The problem is I highly overestimated the amount of ribbon yarn I had left. So I have a baby snake. The colors turned out cute. There's one, there's the other. Oh, is that the top of? Okay, there we go. There's the top of the head there. Okay. It's going to go in the $5 bin. Okay, then it's like, okay, I've still got this purple yarn. No, I made this one first. Okay. Had the purple yarn. I was pulling from the inside and the outside of the cake of yarn and doing the Navajo method for getting a 3-stranded yarn from a single strand of yarn. So I was using 6 strands of the lace weight yarn together along with some blue eyelash yarn that was also on the second shelf of my cart. And I just started like making a ball with it. And then I put on some cute cartoon eyes. And then I made what I thought was a nose. And it's like, okay, this is turning into a bird. So I went with it. I made wings. I made a little mohawk on the top. And I think he turned out to be a pretty cute little bird. Yay! So, buoyed by my success in using up some of the extra yarn there, I went back to, so that was all free-handed. I went back to this and gecko, but I got out the gecko pattern and I was using the blue eyelash yarn that I used for this and one strand of a dark green worsted weight. And here's my gecko I turned out with. He's very bumpy. He's very, like, halo-ish. Okay. I'm happy with the way he turned out. And I need to get him into my Etsy shop with some other geckos. I think that he will sell. Well, then I decided to change course. I still had green yarn left over from this. I'd started with a cake that was maybe 3.5 inches across. And it was getting sort of floppy, but there's still some yarn left there. So I pulled out my Vanna's Critters book. There's an alligator. I'm not completely fond of the way that this book is written. Like, instead of increase, it says 2 single crochets in the next stitch, which can be confusing because if you're just looking at it quickly, you might think like, okay, you're supposed to do 2 single crochets and then so there was one row that I was sure was wrong when I got to this point, but when you're decreasing for the neck here, for some reason she has you decreasing and increasing in the same row. And it's like, no. And it was only going down to 13, so I took it down to 10 just to give it that nice definition there at the neck. And she had zigzag teeth. I put a little black smile around and added teeth to the black smile. I thought that I was starting at the front of the body and working to the back, but actually you're starting at the back and working to the front, which actually worked out well because when I got to the final, like 4 stitches, I just closed it and single crochet across the top, giving him a nice flat nose tip, which I think is supposed to be a crocodile instead of an alligator. Well, crocodile is wider and more squared off, but I just finished him tonight. So now we're going to have dinner. I'm going to print off a few new patterns. I don't know if you follow Pieces of Scrap on YouTube. I don't know why I just put those back in the bag. I put them in here to bring them back, and they really didn't need to go back in the bag. But I needed to do something as I was talking, so that's what I did. Pieces of Scrap here on YouTube occasionally does these pattern reviews where she finds free patterns on Instagram and she reviews them and then says if she found errors or what she would do differently or here's how you could make it no-sew. She did a review of 10 patterns that I watched today, and I think there were 4 patterns in her video that I want to make. So I'm going to see if I can print up at least one before the timer goes off for dinner. And I think there were 2 of them that would fit very well with colors that are left on the top of my craft cart. So that's my plan. Try to get these new patterns printed off and make a few new things tonight. All of a sudden I'm like, oh no, am I wearing my microphone? Yeah, that's the kind of day it's been. And sooner or later, I'll get to that stuff. I still have a week and a half to my next craft show. And technically, with an hour or so of concentrated effort, I could at least get all this stuff tagged and in the right spot. It would take longer than that to put the stuff on Etsy. But then I tell myself, well, what if you go to all the work putting it on Etsy and then it sells at this craft show? You've wasted your time. So I sort of have an argument for waiting until after the 17th to list stuff on Etsy. Yeah, I'm, got the one guy on the shoulder saying, just wait, don't do it. And the other guy like, come on. May's a slow month. You need to get the stuff on Etsy to speed things up, and you'll get more stuff in your shop. And today, I was listening to the just wait, it'll wait. It's more fun to play with yarn. Make some more stuff. You'll feel better. Okay. Tomorrow I'll work on that. Today is Play with Yarn Day. So I'm going to print out some more plans for my playbook. Maybe that's what I should call my pattern books. My playbooks. And see how many more things I can do. A quick count before I came back here said I was down to 25 cakes in the top of my craft cart. Now, some of those were like this green went back in. It went from a cake that was about 4 inches across to one that's only about 1.5 inches across. So there has been progress in that. That's second shelf. So there is progress. It's just not reflected as well in the numbers as I would like it to be. Okay. And I'm having fun going through some new books here. So now I'll print out some new patterns. Because that's fun too. So, bye-bye. I got to get some stuff done before the timer goes off. Tonight's dinner is barbecued chicken, gluten-free cornbread, and a kale chopped salad. Sound good? Bye-bye.